Hi everyone. So I'm running a little bit late, but that's okay. Um, Today we are taking a look at the Dada poem, which, if you're not familiar, is a form that, or I guess more of a genre that is focused on randomness and less prioritizing less the sense of like meter and rhyme. It, in its initiation in the 20th century, was more of like a protest to war or to other issues, and was really subverting what poetry was and could be. If you look at poems that are considered Dada, they're like kind of nonsensical, and that's because they focus on this sense of randomness. um the way that you create this randomness can vary. I guess traditionally, someone would take a newspaper article, cut it up into pieces, and put all the pieces into a hat or some sort of vessel and pull the words out one at a time and glue them on a page, which is what I'm going to be doing today. But there are other ways to create randomness. A friend of mine, Bridget, introduced me to the Dada poem generator, which is an online like AI type program. You put in the text that you want to Dadify, and it'll turn it into a Dada poem for you. I'll put that link in the description on my YouTube channel once this is done recording. Another way that you could create randomness is that you go around and ask people for random words. You just ask, call up your friend and say, hey, give me a random word, and write it down and create this list. Um, Another way is that you kind of close your eyes and like point at words in a larger text, whether it's your own or a newspaper or some other text. It creates more interest if the text is meaningful to you in some way. Going along with the idea that a Dada poem is created as a form of protest, I did buy myself a newspaper. It is now in shreds on the floor here. I got a Washington Post representing the region. And I um, cut the newspaper up into a bunch of pieces. Um, I was interested in particular articles, but I just felt like the text was like too small and like tiny to cut out. And I was trying to do this like 10 minutes before my stream started. So, what I did do was I cut out a bunch of headlines that I thought were terrible. One's about war, one's about police violence, one's about trying to regulate women's bodies. Just like all in a day's news. So I have all of these random words, and I'm going to glue them onto my sheet. And I'm kind of glad that today is kind of like a bing, bang, boom. Don't have to really think too much about what I'm creating because I'm very tired and I want to go to bed early. But I'm still committed to my Twitch stream. So let's take a look at the process. I got my snippy snips here, boop, boop, but I'm all done with those. And depending on how much of a poem you want to create, it's all up to you. So, actually, I need to make this more random because I can see what the words are and I don't want to choose. I'm going to grab a basket. Okay, I'm going to put the words in this basket. Okay. Words are in the basket. I'm going to shake them up. And maybe I'll just put them over here so they're like kind of out of sight. I can't really see the word I'm picking. Okay. Glue sticks that I also bought right before this. Don't normally have glue sticks around. All right, here we go. Stir. Stir what? Ugh, yuck. One of my least favorite words. So Dada poems, um, because they're focused more on randomness, they um, prioritize sound and focus on individual words rather than what all of the words together mean, like in phrases and sentences. Ugh. Let's see here. Okay, I took too many words here. Another way that you could do this is by taking a poem that you've already written and cutting that up into pieces and rearranging it randomly on the page. Just seeing what happens. It's an experiment. Oops. I need to stop grabbing too many words. Here, this is a smaller word. This says toasty. Aren't you glad that I cut up the newspaper before the stream? I thought I wouldn't bore you with some snipping. In this way, it's similar to what is it called? Ransom note poetry, where similarly you cut out words from magazines or another text and you glue them together. But in ransom note poetry, you do look, or you typically do look in at the words and try to formulate a poem out of them, but it has the same ransom note look to it. And I'm also just going across the page, but you can also decide at random how many words are in a line. Maybe you do it by syllable. Maybe you could have two baskets, one with numbers in it, maybe 1 through 10, or maybe random numbers. And the numbers can represent how many syllables are in each line, or they could represent how many words are in each line. Maybe you decide randomly how many lines the poem is going to have in general. There's a lot of ways to create randomness, and especially now with AI technology. This one's a little long. Okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because that word was too long for my page. The rules are there are no rules. Oops. There you go. You could also use multiple texts. I used multiple articles from one newspaper, but you could use anything that you wanted: old mail, junk mail, emails. You could print out emails. Or if you didn't want to print anything out, you could just close your eyes, scroll, open up to random words, and whatever word your eyes see first, you can write down. This word is a little, has a tail on the end that is useless. Boop, boop. No, now that fits. I haven't really been paying attention to what words have been chosen already. It'll be like a surprise at the end for me to read it out loud and just to see what turned out of it. I'm either going to go until I run out of words or I run out of space. One or the other. It'll be a surprise for everybody which comes first. Also, if there's a specific subject in mind that you wanted your Dada poem to be about, you could have words that are all associated with one issue. But it also, if you don't want your Dada poem to be a protest poem, also fine. Maybe you want your Dada poem to be a celebration poem. And you can choose your own words, or you can choose something that delights you. Why not? Switch it up. Maybe you want your Dada poem to be an homage to someone. A Dada ode? Could it be a Dada ode? Why not? Maybe you could incorporate Dada into other kinds of forms. Maybe you well, doing like a traditional sonnet is challenging because the traditional sonnet has the meter and Dada poems are like, not focused on that. But it could be an American sonnet. American sonnets don't give a shit about meter and rhyme. 'Cause we're Americans. All right, still got a bunch of words in here. So I'm keeping going. Let's do another line here. Put the glue on. Some people like to glue each individual word. Oops, I got a hair on. I'm shedding. But I find that to be too tedious. So I'm not gluing each individual word. And in a way, this poem is kind of like a collage as well. It's a collage of a moment in time. What's in the news? Maybe you wouldn't want to just focus on um, articles in which you feel enraged, incensed. Maybe you would want to do like a time capsule of a moment in time. All right, I'm getting close to the edge of the paper. I think I'll do one more line after this one. I guess there are smaller words at the end here because they're harder to pick up, maybe. Maybe I can fit some of these smaller words on the end here. Why not go back? The rules are there are no rules. Let's see, this is small. It was upside down, so I didn't see what it said before I picked it up. Here's another small word. See, here's a tiny piece. What does this say? Oh, I folded it. Oops. It's just do I have smaller ones in here? Okay. I don't want to cheat too much and see what they say. Oh, this one says say. Doot, 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 doot. Here's a tiny word. I see a tiny sheet. What does this say? Uh. Okay. We're getting close to the bottom of the basket. But I'm not sure if all the words are gonna fit on this sheet, honestly. I cut out maybe too many. Okay. Oh no. Okay, let's do one more line. I want to leave room for, oh, you can't see what I'm doing at that. Here we go. I'll move my basket over here to my left. I'm looking away. Maybe if you have a particular interest, then you can use like an article about it or textbooks on a subject, cut up and rearrange into a poem. All right. One more small word. What is it? Time. All right. Here's my Dada poem. Stir corporate humor shooting district implicated MAGA inspired relations bomb lost phone toasty race probing lawsuit what in law issues political proceeding Georgia's gas tensions at search aisle shooting the after elimination voter rise summer says threats say hit and run close battered public residence calls when in heat prosecutors, authorities in your officer campuses disaster, race, a close prince chase, swag, tensions, oil, receiving women's can is natural heat, police, unjust, paradise, about store NYPD time. Give you a full look at it on the page. All right, everyone. That's all I got for today. I'm going to throw this up on eBay if anybody is interested in purchasing it. Your tips and your eBay support helps me, and I'm also splitting those funds with the Good Listening Project. You can learn more about Good Listening at the link in my Twitch, or you can just go to goodlistening.org. They're a nonprofit that provide support to medical staff, patients, hospice patients, and their families through poetry by being good listeners and then writing poems about the stories that they hear. Um, I'll see you next week. And if you're interested in helping me figure out what kind of poem I should do next week, you can follow me on Instagram and I will put in a little like poll in my Instagram story. When? I'm not sure. When I feel like it. But it's there. And that's how Dada poem got chosen today. So if you would have rather seen an abecedarian or a duplex or a cento, then you should vote because Dada poem was the one that won this week. So we'll see what we do next week. All right, bye. Good night. See you later.